going on? It's Gypsy Man, and today we're gonna make a video. You've probably seen a lot of these online on how to oil Glock, but I think I oil mine a little bit differently. Not really different, but I've seen all the point. I will hit all the points that you're supposed to hit with a Glock, maybe a few extra. We're gonna talk about the lube that I use, and we're going to talk about when you have a Glock Performance trigger and the points on the Glock Performance triggers you should oil. And we're going to go from there. But this is a shout out at Castle Knight because he asked me this question, and I want to just put some light on it real quick. So first we're going to start by breaking down the gun. And I mean, I like to break mine down all the way, but for the purposes of just oiling it, I may not have to today. So we're going to break it down real quick, making sure that it's clear first. Pull the trigger. This is the Glock Performance trigger, so you're going to have to pull the trigger to take the slide off. Okay, quickly put that aside. We're not going to take too much time with this. We're going to take out the spring. Yes, my spring is different because my gun is custom. I'm going to take out our barrel. Okay, the first thing that I do when I take my my barrel out is I will wipe it down, okay? And once I wipe it down, I'll take a brush and I will brush off the feed ramp, make sure that there's no carbon buildup on that, and I will wipe any carbon that's on the barrel. I also clean my guns every time that I shoot them, and when people say that Glock is a dry gun, they're correct in a sense. Not really. It takes a couple spots for the lube, but I found that because I do maintenance on my gun every time I shoot it, and I lube my gun with good lube, that I've never had a malfunction while I was using it in competition, nor when I practice. So where do I lube my guns? But first, let me tell you what I lube with. I used to, when I first got into maintenance and things like that and take things apart, I used to use the cleanse oil, Field and Range. I thought it was good because it looked good. Comes with a needle nose. You will need a bottle with a needle nose. You need that. Then I got smart and went back to my mechanic years. And I said, I wonder if one of my best lubes, and I'm not sponsored by any of these, so when they see this, you need to start sponsoring me or something, but that won't change my content. I'm going to give real reviews, honest reviews. I said, what oil was the best? Some of the best, other than Mobil and things like that. What else would possibly make it? And I was lucky. Lucas Extreme Duty Oil. Okay, this stuff is the best stuff that I've ever used for a gun. This stuff, it'll lube your gun, but it won't stay on. It dries up. The metal just soaks it up. This stays and it protects. So if I had to make a recommendation, this is the lube that I'll be using. Okay, but of course I put it in my own applicator bottle with a needle. So what do I lube? I lube the barrel. As you can see, my barrel is wet. If we can get it in focus, my barrel is always wet. It stays like that even after I shoot. And a wet gun is an easier gun to clean. Even though this is a Glock, it just coats that well on there. So what do I oil? I oil the barrel all the way around. As you can see, all the way around. I put one drop here on the gun, on the barrel. I put one drop there, and then I oil where it locks up with the slide. Let me see. Get this in focus right here. I oil this, okay? And I'm gonna show you why I oil that. Then I leave that alone. Because I have a metal recoil spring, I oil the metal. Anything that touches metal, that's what I'm oiling. So I oil my recoil spring. Okay? When I get to the slide, okay, I wipe out my slide, I wipe out the rails, and I wipe out the area where the gun safety and the firing pin. I wipe all that out and I get that clean. We do not put oil in this hole. We don't put oil anywhere on this ramp. The only place that I oil is going to be on the feed ramps, and I just put a little bit here and a little bit on the other side. And as you can see, there's wear on the top part of the slide. So that means we need to put oil there. So I oil that. All right, and I have a little, it's always going to be moist. And that's all I do with the slide, the barrel, and the recoil spring. Okay, now to the Glock Performance trigger and the frame. I oil the top, just one dab of the rails here on the frame rails. I oil there. I would normally, and I'll do it real quick for you so we can get a good example of how this is supposed to be done. I disassemble my guns so much that everything is just going to punch out, and I know that sometimes you'll see that for this pin you're going to need to bang that out, but if you maintain your guns you can push it out with ease. All right, then we take off the lock and block, take off the slide stop, and we pull the trigger out, right? Okay, so where do I oil? We have to oil underneath the bar. Let's get this nice and clear. Underneath the bar onto the connector, right? On the Glock Performance trigger, you have to oil just a dab outside, on the outside of the trigger bar, okay? And this is metal to metal contact. When the trigger bar and the sear, I oil the rails here and here. Just one little dab, not too much, you know, and you may want to wipe it up a little bit if you see that it's too oily, because it doesn't really take much, and the Lucas oil is really good, really good. Now, I have a metal shoe on my bar, so I put a dab here and a dab on the other side. Because it touches my metal shoe, I want it to be lubricated. That's all I do for the trigger, okay? Then when I reassemble, when I put everything back in, there's one more place that I oil. And the place that I oil, it didn't need to get oiled in the original configuration, because the shoe in the original configuration is plastic. Or polymer. You don't need to oil anything that's a polymer. All right. The last thing that I oil is I just put a dab on my pen. I put a dab on a pen, just a dab, and I rub it all the way around. The reason I put a dab on my pen is because it's going into a metal shoe. I want this gun and the trigger press to be as smooth as possible, and you need lubricity for that to happen. So that's why I'm gonna put some oil there. Now the easiest way for the Gen 5s to put this pin in without having to bang it in all the way is when you push down on the bar, push down a little bit on the slide stop right up front where I have this finger. And it's gonna slide all the way almost in. You can push it in if you got those brick fingers, but if you don't have that, just tap it in. So that was just a quick video of where I lubricate and how I lubricate my Glocks that have a Glock Performance trigger. And that's all you're gonna have to do. And of course, you're gonna do a function check to make sure everything's smooth and everything's filling the way it needs to fill. Get that in evenly. Doesn't take much. Assemble everything back together, and I'm gonna show you where it locks up, I lubricate that and what I want mine to look like. And sometimes I may even do a little extra. So as you can see right here, there's a lot of wear there. So you have to lubricate that, and you can see that when you do that, lube comes out a little bit. If you want to, and sometimes I do, I just might put a little line right there. And guess what? It doesn't hurt. Rack it, and it should be as smooth as butter. So I just wanted to make that quick video for Castle Knight, and I hope I said that name wrong, and I apologize if I didn't. I might have it backwards, but I hope that helps. And the next video, I will show you how I lubricate my 2011s, which might be a little bit different. And it is different because it takes a lot more oil. So quick video, Gypsy Man, and I'm out.